Welcome back. To complete our discussion talking about babysitting boot camp at the American Red Cross, joining me again is Heather Nash, Health Education Coordinator. Let's jump in on our third segment. Now, we're going to look at issues of safety and what children are taught, the youth are taught with safety. You have this wonderful doll here that has a tube in the throat. What are you going to focus in on safety with youth in this particular area?
CPR and first aid. One of the things that we make sure in babysitting boot camp is that when you're being trained, that you are trained in CPR and first aid. We take them through extensive training on how to get an object out of the throat. We go through the CPR training if they need to do that as well. They are certified in CPR and first aid.
So they actually become certified as first aid CPR?
In the boot camp.
In the boot camp, okay.
But if they just take the regular babysitting training, they just go through the motions of learning how to do it. But in our boot camp, we actually certify them to become CPR, first aid.
Okay, okay.
Once we go through that, and it's not actually an instructor that's training them, we just make sure that their skills are right. But actually they go through the video, and the video takes them step by step, and then we evaluate them to make sure that their hand motions are proper and everything. And then at the end they take a small test, and then they're certified at that point.
Now with this, do you also teach them in terms of what kinds of things kids should or should not eat? For instance, you may be babysitting, and it's okay for you to have popcorn, and the family's aware of that, and you talk about what kinds of things are you okay with me if I bring to eat and stuff like that, and they're fine. So when the kids wake up and say you have a small child, you offer them popcorn. Do you talk to them about those kinds of things in terms of what could get caught in the throat based on the age of the child, and how do they work through understanding that?
We do actually talk about that. In the beginning, we actually talk about what they should and shouldn't eat, making sure that the food is age appropriate. You don't want to be feeding a one-year-old popcorn, and if they barely have teeth, you definitely don't want to. So making sure that they understand that certain foods, kids may not have the strength or the teeth to be able to chew it up well enough for it to go down their throat. We talk about weenies. We spend an hour at a training.
Hot dogs, wieners, okay.
Wieners, yeah.
Yeah, you got the basic name for weenies.
That's what we called it, weenies in the class.
Hot dogs and wieners, okay. Good point, because sometimes we think everybody should be able to eat what we eat, and you don't think about the age of the child and some restrictions, you know, raisins, peanuts, things such as that, as well as peanut allergies. So you might need to, and do you talk to them about that?
We do talk about food allergies.
Yeah, because you can have a peanut and it's okay for you to eat it, but being in the environment even with a child who's highly allergic could be very detrimental.
Yeah. That's why on that family interview sheet, we list that allergies, making sure you know what this child's allergies are. If they have or have none, then that way you're safe. You know when you're doing an interview with a family what you need to be prepared for. If you find a kid who ate a candy bar and didn't know that there was peanuts in it and they're allergic, that way you can help them at that point.
Okay, okay. Now in terms of this bigger mannequin here, I mean, is this still just another sort of part of the first aid CPR training that occurs, but for the older child?
Yes, we go through infant and child.
Okay.
And so this is the mannequin that we use for child. We also use adult as well, but we use the child one because sometimes some of the kids in the class don't have the strength to push down on it, so we'll use this one as well. Okay. But this is our junior Annie. And then our first aid kit that we give them during the training, we take them through how to create a sling, by using this, stabilizing somebody if they're in a situation. We talk about being in shock, if recognizing somebody who's in shock, heart attacks, all of the above that has to do with health issues.
Now what about issues of bathtub safety? Because it would not be unusual that they may ask for the child to give the one that they're caring for, you know, a bath type of thing, an older child. What do you teach them about bathtub safety and how much water to have in the tub, and should they be present at all times or things such as that? Did you go through that with them as well?
Not in detail like I really think we should, but we do go through it. If I'm teaching a class, it just depends on that instructor. When I'm teaching a class, we do talk about the water amount. If it's not your child, which is not going to be usually, make sure you put enough in there for them to be bathed, and you stay in there with them. Get them in and out. If they want to have a little fun and play, you need to stay in there while they're doing it, especially if they're way underage.
Right, because people don't really realize even with the smallest amount of water, a child can end up suffocating, drowning in that, losing their balance, and they can't turn over very well and things such as that. So, excellent. Now, here we also have a defibrillator, right?
Yes.
What do you do with this in relation to the boot camp?
We don't actually certify them on using those, but we do go through the motions of showing them how you use them.
Okay.
We do let them know what an AED is, which is the defibrillator.
Right, it's a mouthful.
We do go through that with them and make sure that they know that that exists and what it's for.
Okay, okay. And then we also have these are just other reinforcing things, like you said, with the first aid kit and the things they get. Now, how should they replenish this? Do you talk with them about if you have to use that with the family? Is it their responsibility to replenish it for you? Is that something that you replenish each time before you go to that particular babysitting job? How do you talk about that?
I tell kids if you find yourself in a situation where you've had to use your first aid kit, that's yours. You need to replenish it at all times. Make sure it's safe and everything in it's up to date. So you always have something there and available for you to use. I wouldn't recommend that they tell a family, hey, you need to replace this because I use one for Band-Aid.
Right, I use a Band-Aid, right. Now what about outdoor safety? Because they may take them out in the yard, or the family may drop them off, especially if they're driving and they find that it is okay to take the child to the park. You're driving, we're comfortable with that. Seat belts, car seats. Tell me a little bit about that and that playground safety issue in this 1 minute Jake is telling me we have.
When it comes to going outside, make sure that you know that that's all right, and if it's okay for them to go outside, make sure that they're going in a place where it's safe. There's not a lot of things like nails and big boards or anything out. Make sure they're playing in a safe area because you want to protect people's kids. You're getting paid to do that. And so making sure that they're in a safe environment is the most important thing if you're going to take them outside. Hopefully you can walk them down to a park and let them play there because usually a park is kind of regulated on what they can and can't have there. Okay. But if they're going to be in a backyard, make sure that everything is safe and all right for the kids to be out back playing.
And I would throw in there too in our last few seconds, talking with the family about outside insect repellent. I think about that for myself because let me walk outside and I'm attacked and I swell and it gets infected. So making sure you know whether the child needs repellent and how to put it on. And if you're driving, the proper way to use that car seat, or to secure that seat belt.
Exactly.
Have them actually go through that with you.
Yes, you need to. Make sure that they have a car seat. I wouldn't transport anybody's kids. If they're supposed to be in a car seat and they don't have one, then you shouldn't transport them. Okay, thanks so much. I know that was fast and furious, but we got a good idea about babysitting boot camp. Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you. Well, that's our show. For Health Alert, I'm Pam Butler. I'd love to hear your comments, questions, or suggestions for future shows. Please write me at Health Alert USA, P.O. Box 50913, Tulsa, Oklahoma 74150. Or if you're on the email trail, please email me at healthalertusa@gmail.com. And also visit me on YouTube at youtube.com/Health Alert USA. This program would not be possible without the support of OU Physicians in Tulsa.